Tomorrow it is just after 1. Here's Hulufelo Tefo with your latest news.
Thanks, Sakina and team. Top stories. The Mbalula calls out on the DA following budget stunts, and China lashes out at JD Vance for calling Chinese people peasants. Good afternoon. The ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has accused the DA of double-dealing. This follows yesterday's National Working Committee meeting where the future of the Government of National Unity was discussed following the impasse between some GNU members and the ANC regarding 2025-26 national budget. Last week, the DA, which is the ANC's biggest GNU partner, did not vote in support of the fiscal framework. Mbalula says the DA has acted as an opposition force and has accused them of undermining the essence of collective governance.
The GNU is made up of role players diametrically opposed to us ideologically. But we expect discipline despite all this. We are now deeply concerned by the conduct of the Democratic Alliance, whose participation in the GNU has been marred by double-dealing, negotiating and acting in bad faith and open disdain for transformation.
National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola believes they are on track to significantly reducing crime in the country. He was speaking at the first ever police summit underway in Ekurhuleni on Gauteng's East Rand. The 3-day meeting is an attempt at addressing the country's high crime levels by reflecting on the current policing approaches and developing more effective methods. Masemola says police officers on the ground have been instructed to fight criminals head-on.
Our objective is to bring the criminals to book, to bring them to court, to be trialed and be sentenced for the sins that they've done. But if they choose to challenge the police, members of South African Police Service, you need to face them and fight for yourself and for the country. President, last crime stats shows a bit of a decrease. We know it's not where we want to be. We want at least by 50% as you directed. The trajectory looks like we are on that track.
South Africa's Labour Minister Nomakhosazana Meth says the recent drastic developments on the trade front have been disappointing. She was speaking at the opening of the second G20 Employment Working Group in Durban ahead of the G20 summit later this year. This comes after US President Donald Trump announced an increase in trade tariffs of up to 50% in some cases to tackle what he called trade imbalances. This session of the working group will focus on gender inequality in the workplace. Meth says recent world development threatens shared prosperity worldwide.
We must also express our disillusionment with the drastic developments occurring on the trade front. These shifts threaten to become the primary drivers of economic stagnation and job losses, particularly in developing nations. These changes will erode economic resilience and dismantle employment opportunities for millions. This means that like-minded G20 countries must rise to the occasion and forge resilient labor market policies that protect jobs, safeguard economic stability, and ensure that our economies remain viable despite mounting global uncertainties.
The High Court in Polokwane in Limpopo has granted the media permission to broadcast the trial proceedings of Polokwane businessman Ramesh Patel. Patel is being tried for the October 2015 killing of his wife Fatima Patel. She was found dead at the couple's home in Nirvana in Polokwane. The trial has been running since 2018. A separate murder charge was withdrawn against Patel for the 2017 killing of his mother Mahajin Banu Patel, who was shot and killed at her home in Nirvana. Judge Joseph Raulinga has rejected the defense lawyer's objection to allow media to broadcast their proceedings.
I believe you are quite experienced. You know what to record, what not to record. Because if you step off the mark, then that is going to be the application is granted.
And finally, further afield, China has called the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance ignorant and impolite for referring to Chinese people as peasants. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said it was surprising and sad to hear such words. Last week, Vance said Americans borrowed money from Chinese peasants to pay for things made by them. Recapping the top story, the SAWA ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has accused the DA of double-dealing. This follows yesterday's National Working Committee meeting where the future of the Government of National Unity was discussed following the impasse between some GNU members and the ANC regarding the 2025 to 26 national budgets. I'll have your headlines at 1:30. For SFM News, I'm Kolofelo Defo.
Specsavers cares about your vision. Regular eye examinations can help detect several underlying health problems. Get tested today. Specsavers.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.2 FM in Tohoyandou. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
No, my libale. ngathi kufanele emehlweni yakho mayinindula mayine
Probably one of my favorite all-time Simpiwe Dana songs to come out of any of her music catalogs, Maine. There's also a live version of the song that was recorded out at either Baseline or The Lyric. I think it was at the Lyric Theatre for one of her DVD performances. A wonderful tribute to the late Busi Mhlongo, but also an incredible sentiment behind it. It's just gone 1:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM. We have a lot of conversation coming up today. We're looking at an early childhood development breakthrough, and there's a new South African study that shows the way forward in taking quality early learning to every young child. We're also going to be touching base with the artistic side of the show today via stages, pages, screens, and more. Collaboration between Brown Ballerinas Global is coming through, and it's going to be staged in both Johannesburg and Gqeberha. So we'll tap in with the director around that one. After 2:00, we're going to have a slightly more medical conversation, and we are looking at how burns, as in actual physical burns, are said to be one of the leading causes of trauma amongst children. And we're going to be chatting to a pediatric surgeon from Borough Hospital around that one. I'll let you know what else is coming up after 2, closer to that time. For now, though, our lines are open on 086 000 2032. That is our in-studio line. You can always give us a shout. My producers are standing by. And 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, you are more than welcome to do so. Let's take a quick pause, and then we'll come back on the other side.
What is your money doing right now? Is it lazing around in that other account because you're not sure where to move it for premium growth? Well, let's make it work hard in a Standard Bank Money Market Select investment account, where we'll grow it with a nominal interest of up to 7.9% on a minimum deposit of 100,000 Rand. Plus, you get access to your funds anytime. Open yours online or on our app today. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
WAFCON preparations continue as African champions Banyana Banyana meet again with the Scorchers in a thrilling pitch battle. This is the international friendly. Experience the beauty of African women's football. South Africa versus Malawi. This Tuesday, 8 April at 2:30 p.m. Live streaming on SABC Plus, SABC2, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, and at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You wouldn't want to pay more than you need to for medical aid, so why overpay for car insurance? Switch to Outsurance and you could save big every month. Laureate, a 61-year-old woman, is a real Outsurance client who saves a too good to miss 725 Rand a month on her 2024 BMW X1. Isn't it time you got the real deal? Don't pay more. Switch and save today. SMS out to 42876. That's out to 42876. With Outsurance, you always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP, and T's and C's do apply.
SAFM. Prime time all day long. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right. We are catching up now with Policy and Strategy Associate at Smart Start, Rebecca Hickman, and we're looking at early childhood development. And there's been a breakthrough in this conversation with the New South African study that shows that the way forward in taking quality early learning to every young child. And we've got Rebecca joining us on the line. How are you doing, Rebecca? Rebecca?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can now. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for taking the time. Firstly, maybe let's get some context as to Smart Start, because this groundbreaking study was released by Smart Start, and we'll unpack the study as we go along. But just some context behind your institution.
Sure. Well, we're a national network of partners and practitioners in South Africa, trying to take quality early learning to children in every type of community. And we do that by supporting women to set up early learning programs in homes and in other community-based venues, so that they can reach children quickly where they are. And at the moment, our national network has grown to over 13,000 early learning programs, which are supported by 13 implementing partners across the country, working in every type of community and reaching now over 120,000 children nationally.
Wow, all right. So that's quite impressive indeed. And
yes.
By way of the groundbreaking study, which you've just recently released, and you say that this it reveals compelling evidence that early learning programs that are run in homes and community venues can actually significantly boost children's outcomes. Elaborate for us, firstly, maybe the motivation behind the study and the objective behind the study, and some of those key findings.
Sure. So because the Smart Start network had grown so quickly, I think one of the things we were interested in is, can it keep maintaining impact for children even at that kind of scale? But the second question was, can we see quality outcomes for children in these types of home and community-based settings? And in South Africa, we're fortunate because we have something called the Early Learning Outcomes Measure, which has been standardized for South African children to measure their learning and development outcomes at the age of 4 and 5. So we can use that to track the progress of children that are in early learning programs. So we teamed up with external researchers to use that tool to track over 300 children in over 500 Smart Start programs over an 8-month period. And what that showed us was that over that just that 8-month period, the proportion of children who were deemed on track using this special tool rose from 45% to 65%, while the proportion of children who were falling far behind nearly halved. So we were thrilled with that outcome, because it showed the magic that is happening in these settings, but led by these extraordinary women, and what can be achieved in even informal early learning programs, that it doesn't rely on costly infrastructure and expensive equipment, but rather on the kinds of everyday experiences and activities that practitioners can be empowered to provide.
What kind of metric was used, to sort of scale the proportion of children that were on track versus those who were not? So what kind of data were you looking to track or perhaps monitor?
Sure. So what happened was that at baseline, every child had an assessment that looked at their development in 5 different domains, and that includes early literacy and language. It includes their physical growth. It includes cognitive development. And it includes socio and emotional development. And then 8 months later, they are assessed again using the tool that I mentioned, called the South Africa's Early Learning Outcomes Measure, so that their progress over the 8 months can be compared with what it was at baseline. So this gives us a sort of a holistic view of that child's development. It's not just about learning and cognitive development, it's also about their physical development as well.
And when we look at, because a lot of your programs are run out of homes and community, and this was the sort of the unique aspect of this particular study. When you look at those settings and that environment, what would you attribute the success to? Because part of the conversation around ECD has been around how do we better equip and better train those who work in the ECD spaces, so that they can actually tick all of those early learning measures.
Absolutely. I think this study confirmed what we suspected, which is that it's not what you see, it's what children experience that matters. And so, as I said, it's not about costly infrastructure and equipment, but empowering practitioners with the right tools and skills and support. And what was wonderful about this study was it gave us some insights into actually the types of everyday practices that were really moving the needle for young children. And that included things like lots of talk, child-centered play, ensuring that activities are at a level that's appropriate for the child. And these are things that can happen in a wide range of settings. And it gives us insight into why we can still see quality outcomes for children in home settings where the practitioners are trained in, for instance, simple techniques to build children's language, simple techniques to provide encouragement and to pitch activities at the right level. But these don't depend on a certain type of venue, but rather with practitioners having the skills and the knowledge and support to be able to offer activities in this way.
You also mentioned that this study told 2 very particular and important stories. Obviously, one on the other hand, speaking to the abundance in every child in South Africa and society's responsibility, but second to that also the potential of the thousands of underemployed women that live in low-income communities and their ability to transform futures of children. What kind of support and how do we tap then into that resource? I also look at the fact, for instance, I have, one of my aunts who's just recently retired at age 62, still fresh as a whistle, and she's been an educator for 30 years. She's been an educator for 30 years, and I was talking to her exactly about this the other day, saying, well, why don't you maybe set up an ECD? Because, you have the knowledge as an educator and as a caregiver, and everything else, you can then research what needs to be in place.
Absolutely. And I think that we're trying to appeal to a wide range of women in these communities who we know have the aptitudes and the talents to be able to provide these quality early learning experiences, but they might not know how to go about setting up a program or how to provide a structured daily routine or have the simple tools that will support them to provide a quality program. But I think you're absolutely right about the focus on the women. I heard somebody last week describe them as the unlikely heroes of this story, but I kind of think of them as the likely heroes, because I think it makes absolute sense that the extraordinary, ordinary women in our communities are the people who will transform our children's future. And that it doesn't depend on them having high levels of prior education. Many of these women themselves will have been failed by our education system in the past, but that doesn't mean that they don't have an enormous contribution to make now in terms of building the next generation.
By way of government, what is the role of government in facilitating skills and development and even infrastructure support, for the success of more ECDs that are within communities and within homes?
Yeah. So Smart Start works in close collaboration with government. And this time a year ago, the government published its 2030 strategy for ECD programs. And just a fortnight ago, the president spoke at an ECD leadership summit where he highlighted that strategy and called on all of society to sort of get behind this national effort to ensure that every single child has access to quality early learning. What was great about the 2030 strategy published last year by government was that it acknowledged the important role of home and community-based early learning programs. It sees these as part of the solution to equitable access for every child. And so Smart Start is looking forward to continuing to work closely with government so that we can realise that vision together.
Definitely sounds like some fabulous outcomes that have come out of this study. For those who might want to seek to lay their eyes on it a little bit more, we talked to a lot of early childhood development stakeholders on the show. And accessing resources, often something that they also highlight. Are studies like this readily available, access to Smart Start and your data readily available for those who are already in the sector?
Absolutely. They can just go to the Smart Start website. And what we've done at the moment is distilled the findings into 3 simple briefings. And those are available on the Smart Start website, which is www.smartstart.org.za.
Awesome stuff. Rebecca Hickman, thank you so much for the time. Rebecca is the Policy and Strategy Advocate at Smart Start. I would love to know from you guys as you listen to the show, your thoughts perhaps on how learning at ECD centers, whether creches or childcare centers, should look like, especially in our communities. It's 1:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga.
Thanks, Bridget. In the headlines this hour, the public broadcaster has apologized for not broadcasting the Afrikaans TV news bulletin this past weekend. The SABC says it is treating the matter with the seriousness it deserves and that consequence management processes are currently underway to address the internal oversight that led to this unfortunate incident. The ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula has accused the DA of double dealing. This follows yesterday's National Working Committee meeting where the future of Government of National Unity was discussed following the impasse between some GNU members and the ANC regarding the 2025-26 national budget. And further afield, South Korea has designated June the 3rd as the date for the next presidential election. I'll have your details at 2.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation. Stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Alrighty, Paula Brown joins us now, artistic director and founder of Brown Ballerinas Global and the Joburg Ballet, alongside Gqeberha's Carl Lee of Feet on Fire, proud to announce an extraordinary collaboration with Brown Ballerinas Global. How are you doing this afternoon, Paula?
I'm good, Bridget. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Okay, let's get firstly some background history on Brown Ballerinas Global.
Yes, well, it all came about during our world pandemic. I thought it was a great opportunity as so many people were pivoting their businesses, and I always had a passion and desire to want to expose brown and black dancers to classical ballet. And so it was fitting during that time to just start the Brown Ballerinas Global, although it's a double entendre on the name because my last name is Brown. But I also wanted to make sure that we were able to have access in the platform and break some of those stereotypes and barriers as it related to classical ballet, making it all inclusive for all.
Isn't it crazy that it's still a conversation in modern day 2025, Paula, the sort of the inclusion and the perceptions around brown and black dancers when it comes to classical ballet?
It is still a conversation. However, I think some of the doors are beginning to open. As you find, I've partnered with the Joburg Ballet in Johannesburg for the program, and then now I'm here. Currently, I'm right now in Port Elizabeth and have partnered with a school here. But yeah, the conversation is still, it exists, but the doors are opening.
Yeah, we love to hear it. Let's talk about the collaboration with the Joburg Ballet and Gqeberha's Carl Lee, Feet on Fire. And you guys are coming together to redefine ballet.
Exactly. Redefining ballet on a world stage. That's what Brown Ballerinas is all about. And so, of course, because the Joburg Ballet is our renowned ballet company and school in Johannesburg, I originally had a artist in residency at the Kennedy Center. And so being at a prestigious facility as the Kennedy Center, the program is based on a top tier level of instructors and the whole syllabus of the program. And so the best partner would have been the Joburg Ballet, and that's what we did. We had an excellent 1 week of intensive training and children from the community and the Pro Arte Alphen Park Performing Arts Center. And I was also able to bring 10 brown ballerinas from the USA. So it was an excellent program.
Wonderful. Did a little birdie tell me that South African ballerina Kitty Petler also formed a part of the instructors for this summer program?
Yes, Kitty was our ballet mistress for the summer intensive. So yes, she was there. It was excellent. We also had Hugani in Lovu who did some of our hip hop and amapiano, and then we had one of the Joburg Ballet company members, Tabani. Yeah, so we had a very wide staff of instructors from the USA and here in South Africa, bringing them all together, and we taught the kids, and we did about 8 or 9 numbers in our culmination, and it was awesome.
Wonderful. I know that the Joburg leg of the summer intensive is now done, but you're moving on to Gqeberha, and I've got to actually wonder, why. I can almost, I guess, doing what I do, I can almost see why Joburg, it's the home of the Joburg Ballet, and there's other incredible dance companies that are based here. But I almost have to wonder, why specifically Gqeberha? You could have chosen to go to Cape Town.
Well, Cape Town is next. That's next year. But, I can't pronounce the new name of Port Elizabeth. Yeah. But the artistic director of the Joburg Ballet, Dan Hurst, is from Port Elizabeth. And I was told, as you said, and the little birdie let you know that we are here. I was told that there's a lot of talent here in Port Elizabeth. So I really wanted to see and have the opportunity to come to the area and just see what the students were doing here and see how I could be a help. And I found that I have a great support. We started yesterday, and yeah, the kids are loving it, and they're from all the surrounding communities. There's a big dance community here. And so, yeah, we're able to be here and to have the program here as well.
I mean, I say that, but also, I guess, almost tongue-in-cheek for all of my Gqeberha listeners that are patching and they're probably going, oh, Bridget, why do you think there's no dances here? But I wonder, with things like arts and culture and specific, disciplines like classical dance, for instance, there's always perceptions, whether we're speaking race or speaking regions, where one thinks that talent does not lie here, and so it gets forgotten. And I'm pretty sure even in the States that, there are particular hubs or states where perhaps are lesser known for a particular thing. But once you go into the ground or go onto the ground and you realize that there's a lot of untapped talent that's just looking for opportunity.
You're absolutely right, Bridget, and that's what the program is all about. It's about breaking those barriers, whether it be regional or whether it just be community dance base wise. It's just, coming into these, I call them diamonds in the rough, and allowing them to experience the program. And so, again, it's great. Our culmination is going to be Saturday, April the 12th at the Savoy Theater.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really excited. And the kids are fantastic. There's a lot of talent here. They look magnificent.
Wonderful. Well, we'd love to hear it. So Saturday is when you're having a performance there in Gqeberha. And just a reminder for our listeners that might want to come through, what would be the details once again?
So it's at the Savoy Theater, and it's at 12 p.m. And yeah, come one, come all. Come see what the USA has brought to Gqeberha. Did I say kind of right? Gqeberha.
It's okay. PE is
Gqeberha. Yeah, PE. Yeah, and come and support these the children. They're working hard. I have USA instructors here. And I have one local instructor here that's a part of the program, because I bring all the classical ballet, but then once I hit the ground, I want to find a local known instructor to surprise the kids with a little bit of Piana and hip hop.
Yeah. And you mentioned, Paula, that you'll be swinging back around again next year. And next year adding Cape Town to your calendar. So are you thinking perhaps the summer intensive will be a roll-on program for as long as there are sponsors and interested kids, that it will be something that you keep bringing back?
Exactly, yes. We're building on the program. So I will be here next year, but also students from Johannesburg and Port Elizabeth will also have a chance to come to the USA. Okay. So it's a real cultural exchange. It's allowing them to come to the U.S. and study. It's an even more dynamic program in the U.S. because we have so many celebrity instructors that they get to just be before for 2 weeks. And then we come here and do the program here. And the overall goal and mission is to continue to develop these kids in the next 3 or 4 years, create a whole Brown Ballerinas company. So we'll be a touring, traveling company, like you see the Joburg Ballet or the Cape Town City Ballet. You'll see the Brown Ballerinas traveling at your local theaters.
Wonderful stuff. Well, listen, all the best for the 2025 Summer Intensive. That was Paula Brown, Artistic Director and Founder of Brown Ballerinas Global. So if you're going to be out in Gqeberha, Savoy Theatre is where you want to find yourself come Saturday. And they are having that showcase performance at midday. You don't want to miss it, and you can get your tickets from the theatre. Always a good time to take in some arts and culture in Gqeberha. It's gone 20 to 2 o'clock on my side of the world. We're going to take a quick pause, but of course there's still lots to come on the show. We're going to be talking the Upliftment program the upliftment programs, Joy Facilitators. We'll find out more what are Joy Facilitators, but they work within the healthcare sector in a very dynamic way from what I've gathered. And then on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're having a conversation with the pediatric surgeon from Bara Hospital. And that is centered around the fact that physical burns, as in burn wounds, are said to be one of the leading causes of trauma amongst children. So we'll learn more about the work of surgeons for little lives in that space. That's coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock. We're also going to be having a conversation, by the way, around the reduced sodium legislation, which aims to save lives. Do you take precautions on your salt intake? Salt is such a problem. It goes back to the conversation we were having yesterday on World Health Day and some of those top 5 health issues that oftentimes sneak up on people, things like high blood pressure. So are you those people who just put salt in your food without even tasting it? I know a lot of people who do that. Give us a shout on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp line is open.
SABC Technology Business is a unit which provides services to internal and external clients. Our strategic objective is to ensure that SABC has the appropriate and reliable technological infrastructure for production, post-production, digital media content available to the public. Our range includes IP portable production studio facilities and the digitization of legacy content. Our outside broadcast vans, fully equipped to follow you anywhere and everywhere. For competitive pricing, contact bookings facilities at sabc.co.za.
At Buco, we know that every successful building project starts with quality and ends with pride. From small contractors to big builders, we're here to ensure that you have the tools, materials, and support to do the job right the first time. With Buco, you're never building alone. We are right here, ready to make your project a lasting success, from the foundation to paint. For every step and every build, begin with Buco.
Buco. The Morning Brief with Tulasizwe Simelane.
When they took over this country from the National Party, unemployment was 15%. Imagine if there were no economic sanctions. Unemployment would be around 6%.
But there was unemployment measured within which segment of the population, Mandla? Because remember, it was segmented and fragmented, and there were portions of the population that were deliberately left out of the economy. Deliberately.
Tulasizwe, you must stop being the spokesperson of these tags, ANC tags.
I could never be.
Unemployment now.
I could never be. Mandla, I'm engaging you. I could never be the spokesperson of these people.
You don't engage these ANC tags. You don't engage them.
Mandla.
Yes.
Unless you want to speak and then I don't engage you, none of us benefits when that happens.
This is Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right. As the clock ticks away right here on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, we are catching up now with Kirsten Adams, who's Joy Wellness Project Manager and Western Cape Coordinator. And we're talking the upliftment programs, Joy Facilitators. Firstly, I want to find out what are the Joy Facilitators, because they're on a mission of sharing their unique brand of socio-emotional wellness across government hospitals in South Africa. How are you doing this afternoon, Kirsten?
Good afternoon, Bridget and SAFM listeners. Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you for the time. Okay, I guess firstly, clue us in as to the upliftment programs, Joy Facilitators.
Yes, of course. Great question. So what it means to be a Joy Facilitator is we see ourselves as bringers of light. Someone who has been trained within our program and is able to guide and facilitate joy-based sessions. Personally, this looks like to me a beautiful way of being of service to the communities that need it the most.
Okay, so, all right, so someone who's a bringer of light and guide and facilitates joy-based programs. So what do those look like in the context of hospitals? Because you are taking your program, your wellness program, across government hospitals in the country.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much. So we also do something that's called care clowning.
Okay.
And this we recently did in Johannesburg. We also did it in Cape Town at Woodside Centre, which is a facility for differently abled people. What this looks like is we get to dress up in so much colorful clothes. We get to go in and give these people hope. We get to play with them, sing with them, uplift their spirits. Because if we look at it, their days are pretty mundane. It's kind of the same thing that happens day to day. The morale is not really the best. And the patients at these facilities, I mean, some of them are immobile, so some of them just have to lay in one position every day. So we saw this as an opportunity for us to come into that space, bring our joyfulness, put all our things aside, and just be of service to these people.
And this program, so how long is care clowning? You said you just sort of started it in Gauteng, but it's part of the Greater Upliftment programs, right? And that's been going for a while, from what I understand.
Yes. So the Upliftment program is in its 21st year at the moment. We started in 2003 with care clowning, but now we've evolved. So now we do sessions for teachers, educators, caregivers, the youth, because we have noticed that the youth is really needing emotional support in South Africa at the moment.
Okay, so that's 21 years of doing this program. Track for us, the impact that you've seen in the communities and centers and hospitals that you've worked with and partnered with throughout the 2 decades.
Of course. So what it looks like from the Upliftment program side is we have reached over 52,000 beneficiaries. And that's just people that we've reached immediately. But that's not the ripple effect of the joy, because once one person is uplifted, they then take that joy and they spread it to their people as well. What that also looks like is there's over 800 trained facilitators just like me doing this work in 4 regions in South Africa already.
Oh, wowza. Now, but by way of your facilitators, Kirsten, and you've got over 800 of them already on the ground, how do people get involved with the Upliftment program, and what kind of attribute, personality, qualification should one have in order to make a good candidate?
Honestly, Bridget, this work is for anyone, because at the core of all our beings, we are people who love to make other people happy. So no matter what you're going through, our training equips you with everything you need to do this work. And you can find the Upliftment program at theup.org.za. And we have just launched our sister, who is our social enterprise called the Joy Movement. Now, this is where we are scaling this joy, because honestly, we haven't really been showing the work that we've been doing. We've just been on the grounds. Now we are ready to scale this joy, because we are seeing the impact and the feedback that we are getting from doing these joy sessions. And with the Joy Movement, people can get involved. They can go to gojoy.love, and there are multiple options to get involved.
Okay, I want us to take a quick pause, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll continue our conversations. Just gone 10 to 2 o'clock on The Full Circle. Myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
EFC is live this Thursday. From the wilds of Reunion Island and the ancient lands of Zimbabwe, two raging bulls meet for a heavyweight title clash as Elvis Moyo takes on Anthony Morrell. Plus, Fahis Jacobs and Sibusiso Sovendile fight for bantamweight gold. EFC 122, live from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
In conversation with Kirsten Adams, who's a Joy Wellness and project manager and the Western Cape coordinator, and we're finding out more about the Upliftment program and some of its Joy facilitators, and they do some incredible work within government hospitals across the country. We've learned a little bit about the care clowning initiative as well that's been lighting up Joburg once again. With over 20 years of experience in this non-profit sector and touching tens of thousands of lives. It's a very interesting concept, this, Kirsten. And might I ask, because you did say that, you don't need a qualification. Anyone can really do this work, but it takes a specific kind of personality, acumen, and trait to be able to do this kind of joy-bringing, selfless work.
Yes, no, you're right. And as well is that with the training, right, we are equipped on how to deal with being in those facilities. So if I take my own personal experience, I had no idea what I was walking into, to be honest with you. But the facilitation or the training space is held so safely where you are immediately relaxed, you feel that you can open up, and you understand that the work you are doing is for others. Yes, there is a certain personality, I suppose, that you need to have, or you don't necessarily need to have it, but this work can genuinely be done by anyone who is heart-centered and in the creative arts, because we do bring a lot of creativity into the sessions that we give.
Now, tell us a little bit about, and you mentioned the Joy movement, right? But I know that you are also calling on us normal folks, to help you guys get bigger and better. Tell me about that initiative.
Yes, so the Joy movement, we are currently running a campaign where we are boldly asking to raise 21 million rand in 21 days, backed by our track record of the Upliftment program's 21 years of sharing joy.
And how are you asking folks to back you and corporates to back you?
So for fellow South Africans, we are asking them to subscribe to the Joy movement. This can be done on gojoy.love. And what being a subscriber means is that you get access to monthly online joy sessions. So we will hold the space online where you can experience what it is like to be in that space with like-minded people who are heart-centered, and just let go of everything that you've been holding on to And just for that moment, we all come together, and just like what the book has said, that we are stronger together, we hold that space where we can all see and connect, because honestly, human connection is the way forward.
That it is indeed. All right. So you're asking us just to simply subscribe?
Yeah, just to subscribe to the Joy Movement on gojoy.love.
Wonderful stuff. Apologies for that. Got a little bit of a tinkle in my throat. Wonderful. So joy.love is where we can go. You can go to the up.org.za and find out more about the work that Kirsten Adams and her teams do across the country. Kirsten, thank you so much for your time today. That was Kirsten Adams, and she is a Joy Wellness coach and coordinator there, doing some work in the public hospital spaces, spreading some much needed joy around those spaces. Kind of gave me a sense also of that. Is it just exclusively an American program? I don't know. The Candy Stripers. You know, when you watch TV and there's always the Candy Striper volunteers in America, and they call them Candy Stripers because they always wear those candy striped uniforms, and they go into hospitals and do selfless work, whether they're bringing joy, bringing comfort, reading partners, spending quiet time, quality time, whatever is really needed by the patients at that time, and also to ease just the stress that some of the staffers go through, as you heard Kirsten also alluding to, they having the ability to uplift morale in some of the public hospitals. It's just a few moments to go before the top of the hour. So on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're still going to stay on a medical tip, and we're going to have a conversation around some burn units with a pediatric surgeon from Borough Hospital. And burns are said to be one of the leading causes of trauma amongst children. And then we're going to have a conversation later on in the show where we're looking at reduced sodium legislation, and this is aiming to save more lives. Do you take the necessary precautions when it comes to your salt intake? There are people, and I'm sure you've seen them in your family and in your circle of friends, when you go out before, or if you present them with a plate of food before they've even tasted the plate of food to see whether or not it's been seasoned correctly and to their liking, they reach straight for the salt and they start going with the salt. And there are folks like that. There are folks like that indeed. But we know that salt can be a cause of some serious health issues. So we're going to have that conversation. How are you with the salt? I'm asking you now as you are listening to me. How are you with the salt? Are you those folks who we don't judge? We listen, we don't judge on the show. Are you those people who just reaches for the salt without even tasting the food and start salting and then find out afterwards that it's overly salted, or you just don't taste salt at all? Because there's also folks who actually don't taste salt. Which is so bizarre for me. There's folks who just don't taste salt. You know how we complain about that one fried chicken outlet that tastes so good, and the monkey's always on your shoulder, but it's the saltiest chicken on earth? But there are people who buy it because of exactly that. So we're going to have that conversation after 2, and you can send me a voice note if you want on, our WhatsApp number, Mos. It's 061-410-4107. That is our WhatsApp number. We'll take that. Just a light-hearted contribution for you. Want to know, how are you with your salt, and has it caused you some health problems and health issues, either for yourself or your family members? But now we are gearing up for the 2 o'clock news, and these ones are brought to you by Outsurance. And remember that Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. And if they can't, you can simply ask them for 500 Rand. SMS out to 42876. That's the good news.
Top stories. The Sawa SABC apologizes for not airing Afrikaans news bulletin, and Mbalula addresses DA budget stunts. Good afternoon, I'm Kolofelo Defo. The SABC has apologized for not broadcasting the Afrikaans TV news bulletin this past weekend. It says this was due to a scheduling error. The public broadcaster says it is treating the matter with the seriousness it deserves and that consequence management processes are currently underway to address the internal oversight that led to this unfortunate incident. The SABC has assured the public that there is no plan or decision to discontinue the Afrikaans television news. It says the Afrikaans television news bulletin continues to air as scheduled from Monday to Friday. SABC spokesperson Moni Ngubane says the weekend Afrikaans TV news bulletin will also continue in its regular time slot going forward.
We acknowledge the deep concern this weekend's error has caused, particularly within African-speaking communities. We extend our sincere and heartfelt apology to the South African public and especially to those who felt aggrieved by this disruption.
The ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula has accused the DA of double-dealing. This follows yesterday's National Working Committee meeting where the future of the government of national unity was discussed following the impasse between some GNU members and the ANC regarding 2025-26 national budget. Last week, the DA, which is the ANC's biggest GNU partner, did not vote in support of the fiscal framework. Balula says the DA has acted as an opposition force and has accused them of undermining the essence of collective governance.
The GNU is made up of role players diametrically opposed to us ideologically. But we expect discipline despite all this. We are now deeply concerned by the conduct of the Democratic Alliance, whose participation in the GNU has been marred by double-dealing, negotiating and acting in bad faith and open disdain for transformation.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says the fighting against crime remains a priority for the 7th Provincial Administration. He was speaking at the inaugural police summit underway in Ekurhuleni. The 3-day meeting is an attempt at addressing the country's high crime levels by reflecting on the current policing approaches and developing more effective methods for the South African Police Service. Lucifer says crime is having a detrimental impact on society.
If we can't defeat crime, Mr. President, we must kiss our country goodbye. If you can't defeat crime, we must forget about attracting investments. If you can't tackle crime head-on, we must also forget about attracting tourists to our country. And young families are now contemplating even leaving our country because they are refusing to raise their children in this violent province. So unfortunately, we have to tackle this issue. And we are proud as the Gauteng provincial government that we have taken a decision that crime remains a number one priority that needs to be tackled.
The city of Cape Town says they are attending to several incidents due to the inclement weather. Traffic Service spokesperson Maxine Bezuidenhout says a truck has overturned on the M3 highway outbound at Upper Travato Link. She says multiple injuries have been reported and the right lane is obstructed.
Traffic officers are attending to a number of incidents at this time due to the inclement weather. On the M3 outbound, a truck has overturned at Upper Travato Link. Multiple injuries have been reported and the right lane is obstructed. Then a truck has broken down in the right lane at Hospital Bend inbound at the M3. Flooding has also been reported on the M2 outbound between Mowbray Main Road and Lisbeth Parkway. The right lane is flooded. There is also flooding of the left lane on Stellenbosch Arterial eastbound at Roberts Sebokwe.
Further afield, South Korea has designated June the 3rd as the date for the next presidential election. The former president Yoon Suk-yeol was removed from the office last week for trying to impose martial law in December last year, an act that led to political chaos. The acting Interior and Safety Minister Ko Ki-dong made the announcement.
This is an election to select the next president within a short period of 60 days. Given the unprecedented levels of public interest, we will ensure the election is conducted in a fair and transparent manner.
The top story this hour, the SABC has apologized for not broadcasting the Afrikaans TV news bulletin this past weekend. It says this was due to a scheduling error. I'll have your headlines at 2:30. For SFM News, I'm Kolofelo Defo.
Those were the top stories for this hour. Don't miss out on a possible car insurance savings. Simply SMS out to 42876 for a quote. That's Outsurance, where you always get something out. You wouldn't want to pay more than you need to for petrol, so why overpay for car insurance? Switch to Outsurance and you could save big every single month. Tyler, 25-year-old man, is a real Outsurance client who saves an unbelievable 718 Rand a month on his 2021 Ford Figo 1.5. Isn't it time you got the real deal? Well, don't pay more. Switch and save today. Simply SMS out to 42876. That's out to 42876. With Outsurance, you always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP, and T's and C's always apply.
WAFCON preparations continue as African champions Banyana Banyana meet again with the Scorchers in a thrilling pitch battle. This is the international friendly. Experience the beauty of African women's football. South Africa versus Malawi. This Tuesday, 8 April at 2:30 p.m. Live streaming on SABC Plus, SABC2, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, and at 3 p.m. on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.1 FM in Bombela. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye. And I don't know what it all means, but since I survived, I realized wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
Lost in the words that we scream. I don't even wanna do this anymore, 'cause you already know what you mean to me, and our love's the only war worth fighting for.
Wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile.
If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
Right next to you.
Next to you.
Right next to you.
If the world was ending,
be next to you.
Is there ever a bad time for a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, it's just gone 10 past 2 o'clock on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, as the conversations continue right here on SAFM. We're going to be having a conversation now with Dr. Patel, who's a pediatric surgeon at Bara Hospital. And we're having a conversation around burns. And of course, burns are said to be one of the leading causes of trauma amongst children. And the pediatric burns unit at Bara has been newly renovated in partnership with Surgeons for Little Lives. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Patel?
I'm very well, in yourself, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the time. We appreciate it. Firstly, let's get us an understanding and some history behind Surgeons for Little Lives.
Sure. So Surgeons for Little Lives is a non-profit organization. It was founded by Professor Jerome Loveland and a small group of pediatric surgeons and other individuals at Baragwanath Hospital in 2015. And the primary reason for forming the organization was that in the public sector, due to a lack of resources, we were not able to provide the level of care that we thought that our patients deserved with what we had at our disposal. And it's quite a common thing throughout the world for children's hospitals to be attached to non-profit organizations because everywhere in the world, resources are a problem. And organizations like Surgeons for Little Lives help to bridge that gap. So even in the public sector, where we serve the poorest of the poor and never turn patients away, we're able to give them world-class care in our facilities.
Units in itself, Dr. Patel, talk to us about the benefits of having a unit like this for patients at an institution like Bara, one of the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, if not the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. And I can only imagine the volumes of burn patients that Bara services.
Yeah, absolutely. So, burns, especially burns amongst children, are a massive public health problem in South Africa. This problem is compounded by the fact that there are actually only 2 hospitals in South Africa with dedicated pediatric burns units. So the first one is Baragwanath Hospital. The second one is Red Cross Hospital in Cape Town. We all know that when children receive care in dedicated units, so units that are set up solely for the management of children, they have much better.
Dr. Patel? Did we lose Dr. Patel? Okay, we're going to try and get Dr. Patel back on the line in just a moment as we get a better understanding behind this partnership between Surgeons for Little Lives, and they are an organization doing really important work here. You can actually go check them out on surgeonsforlittlelives.org, and they've just partnered with Baragwanath and donated that burn unit to Bara. Just trying to get him back on the line so we can continue to have this very important conversation with him around the work that they do. Let's see if, he's back. Yes, Dr. Patel.
Sorry about that. I'm
No
not sure
stress.
what happened. Anyways, I mean, pediatric burns are a massive public health problem in South Africa. There are only two dedicated pediatric burns units in our country, Barra being one, the other being Red Cross in Cape Town. We all know that when children are treated in hospitals and in centers that are dedicated to the care of children only, they have much better outcomes. So because of that, it's very important that we're able to accommodate for the high number of children that need our services, but also to give them the best quality of care that's possible. And with the revamping and the reopening of our new units, with the donation that was received from Surgeons for Little Lives, we have significantly been able to improve the quality of care that we do give the patients that enter our facility.
It's interesting. I mean, I obviously don't work in the health sector, but it's shocking that there are only 2 units countrywide for pediatric burns in the country, Barra and Red Cross.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a very surprising thing, given that pediatric burns are such a big problem in our communities. Just from Barra alone, I mean, our data tells us that, nearly 50% of all the patients that we see for trauma-related causes in our units, both as admissions and as outpatients, are children that suffer from burns. Burns account for about 20 to 25% of all admissions per year in our unit. And I mean, this is just data from Barra. This is not including children that are treated at local clinics or children that are treated at regional hospitals or secondary level hospitals. So, we've taken a multi-pronged strategy to this problem. Not only are we trying to improve the quality of the care that we provide to children that actually do get burnt and present to our facilities, but we've also embarked on an education-based pediatric burns prevention program that we've been running for the past 4 or 5 years and have implemented quite widely throughout Gauteng. So the idea is that we want to try and decrease the number of children that are actually getting burnt. We want to decrease the severity of the burns that occur. But, of course, accidents do happen. Of course, there are children that will be burned. And through the renovations that we've been through, we are now able to deliver a much higher level of service to the children that actually do need treatment.
Yeah. Dr. Patel, I just want us to take a quick break here, and then we'll come back on the other side. And maybe you can also walk us through at that time the unit and the kind of facility and improvements and upgrades that have been undertaken at Barra. It's fast approaching 20 past 2 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversations that move the nation.
At Dube Tradeport, we specialize in helping businesses grow through state-of-the-art manufacturing, infrastructure, logistics services, and international trade links. We're an advanced environment for doing business where most ambitious companies gather. If you're seeking progressive opportunities and looking to build mutually beneficial relationships, move to dubetradeport.co.za to see your business grow beyond potential.
Don't miss out. The Powerball jackpot is estimated at a staggering 110 million rand this Tuesday. You heard me correct. Play Powerball now for your chance at an estimated 110 million rand jackpot, and you could become Mzansi's next big winner. Buy your tickets now in store or via nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.6 FM in Mangaung. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we are in conversation with Dr. Patel, and we're talking around the partnership between Surgeons for Little Lives and Barra Hospital, and they've renovated and upgraded the Barra burn unit. And of course, we wanted to find out from you, Dr. Patel, in terms of some of the upgrades and the renovations to this, because you've increased capacity to this unit.
Yeah, so, obviously we're an overburdened service. We always have more demand than supply. So the first thing that we did, one of the things that we've done in this renovation is increase the number of ICU beds available. So we've gone from 6 beds to 11 bed capacity for the most critically ill children in the units. We've also revamped the wards so that they're more child friendly. As you know, in any busy unit, wear and tear will take its toll. And no matter how much you look after them, things will start to become run down. So we've addressed those issues in the ward. Revamped the dressing change areas so that they're more child friendly, so that when children do get burnt and end up needing to be treated, it's a much more comfortable, safe, and protected environment for them. Those things don't only just make it easier for the children to handle the injuries, but they also help us to prevent the spread of infection, which can worsen a patient's outcome when they're in the hospital. In addition to all of this, we've also improved the nursing working stations and the working stations for all of the doctors and allied staff that are involved in the care of these patients. And we've also upgraded some of the facilities that are used in the rehabilitation of children while they're in the ward. So the playground, the physiotherapy areas, the areas that are used by the occupational therapists and the equipment that they use in order to make sure that children recover with as little debilitating injury as possible. So it's been like a global revamp. And the unit now is completely unrecognizable to what it was 10 years ago and even 2 years ago. It's really quite a fantastic unit and a credit to the public health sector in South Africa.
Oh, it definitely sounds like a much needed sort of facility upgrade, but also a much needed facelift as well, right? As somebody who's sort of had the privilege of touring a premium institution like the Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital, and you realize that not only does the state-of-the-art equipment, the life-saving equipment, play a vital role in just the health and the recovery of these young patients, but also the environment that they are in. Because if you have to be at a hospital, at a burn unit for a couple of weeks receiving life-saving intervention and treatment, you also want to be in a space, if you're a little person, a space that can kind of bring some smile or sparkle to your day. It mustn't just be the usual run-of-the-mill gloom and doom hospital corridor, hospital ward.
No, that's absolutely correct. So part of our approach at Surgeons for Little Lives, apart from the revamp of the ward, a few of the other projects that we've initiated and run at Paragon now is a parental sleepover facility, which didn't exist before. So if your child is admitted with a debilitating illness or for a long period of time, or you come from very far away, then we as the charity and with the hospital will provide accommodation, meals in the hospital so that you can stay close to your child. We've also partnered with various organizations and employed people, in fact, to make sure that they come and interact with children. We have a rehabilitative art therapy program. We employ caregivers to take the children to the library. So really, you have to take a holistic approach. It's not just about having a fancy building. You really need to think about, how are you going to optimize the recovery of these patients from A to Z. And, where we can, we've definitely tried to intervene. And so far, quite successfully. I think that we are really able to in a very resource-constrained environment, offer a very high level of care to both the patients that are impacted and their families.
Definitely sounds like it, Dr. Patel. And the importance as well for these sort of public-private NGO partnerships. You speak a lot about that. It's often the buzzword, within government corridors and in leaders' speeches. But this is what it looks like in practice. These NPO, NGO, government, public partnerships. This is what we talk about, the kind of work that you do with Surgeons for Little Lives.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so I think 4 or 5 of us as directors of the charity are actually pediatric surgeons that have worked in this unit or still work in this unit. So, you know, I mean, we all want to work in the public sector. It's an absolute privilege to work here. And, you know, I think, you know, through the initiative of Prof. Loveland, the charity was established. And we all are really proud of the work that we do. It's an absolute privilege. And I think that we've tried to take ownership for some of the deficiencies and are showing that, you know, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all, you know, pessimism when you come to the public sector. It is possible because there are very passionate people in the public sector. The resources are available if you look for them. And you are, in spite of all of the challenges, able to achieve something quite special.
Absolutely. And achieving, you know, this sort of state-of-the-art unit comes at a great cost. And I know that for this renovation of the pediatric burns unit, it went into the value of tens of millions. The importance also of just that financial arm for organizations like yourselves to be strengthened by those who are capable, and even just normal people who are able to donate a couple of thousands here, donate, you know, this, that here, just to ensure that we keep the work that you doing going, and also ensure that it multiplies to other regions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can't do this without the support of donors. And we want everyone to be part of the charity. We want everyone to be part of the journey. So we're
I think we just crossed wires with Dr. Patel quickly as we were trying to line up our next guest. But it is important for all of us to really just hold our hands together and partner up with great organizations like his Surgeons for Little Lives. They are doing really incredible work. And sometimes you don't have to give in the millions, you know, like the high-end donors. Sometimes you can just give in the thousands and in the hundreds, and it makes a difference. Every little bit makes a difference to ensuring that they keep doing the kind of work that they do. As you heard, it took around about 26 million just to renovate the Bara Pediatric Burns unit, and you want them to be able to put units like this in at the hospitals as well. Sorry about that, Dr. Patel. It was our fault this time around. We were crossing wires. And we accidentally dropped you. But just a final word by way of the importance of all of us pulling together to ensure that organizations like yours, Surgeons for Little Lives, continues to grow from strength to strength and continues to impact other communities as well, because we want to see more units like this beyond Bara.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we want everyone to be a partner in this. I think we have lots of capacity in the public sector, but we can only realize this when we work together. So whether you can donate 10 minutes of your time, 10 Rand or 1 million Rand, please come to us, see the work that we do, and be part of the amazing things that we're able to deliver in a very needy public health sector.
Absolutely. We appreciate the time with you, and kudos to you and your team for coming together and closing that gap. That was Dr. Patel, who's a pediatric surgeon at Bara Hospital. And of course, he's one of the co-founders there of Surgeons for Little Lives. And they're doing incredible work, having just renovated that entire Bara Pediatric Burns unit and capacitating it to ensure that it reaches even more lives. It's just gone 2:30. It's time for us to get into the headline news. Then we'll come back on the other side of this, and we'll get into a Kids Corner before we come back and take our final conversations.
Good afternoon. In the headlines, the SAWA ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the party has not taken a decision on the future participation of the DA in the government of national unity. The SABC has apologized for not broadcasting the Africans TV news bulletin this past weekend. The public broadcaster says it is treating the matter with the seriousness it deserves and that consequence management processes are currently underway to address the internal oversight that led to this unfortunate incident. And further afield, the UN's World Food Programme says the United States has advised it of its intention to end emergency food assistance funding for 14 countries. I'll have the details at the top of the hour.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.1 FM in Bombela. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Kavambai. Honestly, I'm not so keen about going back to school this week. My school has officially opened today, the 8th of April. But one thing I have missed about school during these holidays is mostly my friends and few of my favorite teachers. I am mostly looking forward in seeing my friends and being back into my extramural activities. There have been some things I have learned and did during the holidays that I would definitely want to share with my friends and classmates. One goal I have made for myself this term is to achieve getting as many distinctions in all of my subjects as possible.
Good day, everyone. My name is Amangoza Mayana, and today I will be talking about going back to school for term 2. I feel a bit excited because I will be seeing my friends, but I also feel a bit nervous because in a few weeks we will be writing our exams. But I can simply just calm my nervousness down by studying or just managing my time. I'm also excited because this term is also when our rugby season starts and we will be getting into leagues. Some things I've learned this holiday was how to manage my time and how to study effectively. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Hello, my name is Demet and I'm 12 years old and I'm in grade 6. I'm really excited to go back to school, but not so happy. Because I have to go back to waking up at 5 a.m. every day, just to go to school, then coming back at 6 p.m. because of extramurals. But I won't be worrying that much, even though schools just opened. Winter holidays are coming up soon. How soon, you ask? Not so soon. I can't wait to graduate college. My school's opening on the 8th of April 2025, which is today. The only one thing I missed during the holidays were my friends only. I'm looking forward to learning something new and my new activities. If you're wondering what I did during the holidays, I did something really fun. I celebrated my girl cousin's 2nd birthday last week Saturday. I also went to Limpopo and celebrated my 12th birthday on 24th of March with my family. At that time, my school was closed. I promised myself that I would focus on my studies and get high marks for November academic awards.
I feel the way I feel about going back to school this week. I feel happy, sad. At the same time, I'm gonna miss my parents. Like spending like 7 hours from them out of 24 hours. Ain't that great? The kids, we miss our parents. Our school is opening. Our Parktown Public School is opening on the 8th of April 2025. One thing I missed about school during the holidays, is the learning, because when we were done with the exams and the teachers just were marking and recording marks, doing our reports, we were barely doing anything. The boys were busy playing FIFA. I was, also playing FIFA. So yeah, I missed the learning, even though sometimes you don't find it fun, but the thing I'm looking forward to this coming up term is beating my opponent, getting the highest, because it's being draws in test with my opponent. Like, it's I and him, you are the, getting highest in class. So it's us boys beating the girls. Yeah. I did some fun things during the holidays, play with my brother, PlayStation every day, live a happy life, no fighting. Visit my auntie because she gave back newly. So we ate food. So yeah. The goal and promise I'm making for myself for this term is that I should overcome my challenge. I should raise up my hand in any question. I should stop playing with bad friends and continue keep being quiet. I must start being quiet, you understand? Yeah, thank you. God bless.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. My name is Lorraine and I'm 12. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Yes, I am excited to go back to school to finally be learning stuff, especially for LO and for Max. My school is reopening on the 8th of April. The one thing that I miss about my school whenever I was away during holidays was the fun that we used to have during break and just meeting your friends and talking to them. The thing that I'm looking forward to this term is to focus on my studies and to learn new things and to do some extramural activities. No, I didn't plan anything fun during the holidays that I would like to share with my classmates. The one goal that I'm promising myself or telling myself this to make this term is to make it into the top 10. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.
Hello friends and happy Tuesday. Welcome back. Can you believe it's already time to head back to school for the second term? Whether your school opened today or is opening this week or very soon, I hope you're feeling excited, ready, and maybe even a little curious about what's ahead. So how do you feel about going back to school? Did you miss your teachers, your friends, or even the classroom activities? Sometimes being on school break is fun, but going back to school brings back the fun of learning new things, laughing with classmates, and challenging ourselves to do our very best. Maybe you did something exciting during the holidays, like visiting family, reading a cool book, learning a new skill, or just having lots of rest. These are the special memories you can now share with your friends and teachers. And what about this term? What are you most looking forward to? Sports, arts, or even science experiments? It's a brand new chance to set a goal for yourself. Maybe your goal is to read more books, ask more questions in class, be a better friend, or keep your desk tidy. So, how can we make this term academically successful? Here are a few ideas. Stay organized. Keep your homework, books, and supplies in order so you're always ready for class. Ask questions. Never be afraid to ask for help when something is hard. That's how we learn. Set small goals. Whether it's improving your spelling, reading more, or solving math problems faster, every little goal counts. Do your homework on time. It helps you understand lessons better and keeps you prepared. Get enough sleep. A well-rested brain is a learning brain. Believe in yourself. Confidence makes a big difference. Remember, every new school term is like a fresh page in your book. You get to write your own story one day at a time. So sharpen those pencils, pack your bags, and walk into school with a big smile and a big dream. You're going to do amazing this term. That's all from us. Good luck and keep shining at school. Bye-bye.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses. Pay yours, make a difference.
The Saints are pumped up to fight even harder in search of 3 points on home ground.
And Smallbone has scored his first Premier League goal. Liverpool stood like statues.
Meanwhile, the Villains are chasing a win to secure a decent top half spot.
Tielemans to Rashford. Rashford fires it in. Oh, it's got in! It's turned over by Marco Asensio again. 2 from him, 2 for Aston Villa, and 3 points surely.
This is the Premier League. Experience a thrilling encounter between Southampton FC and Aston Villa FC on Saturday, 12 April at 3:30 p.m. live on S3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Don't miss out. The Powerball jackpot is estimated at a staggering 110 million rand this Tuesday. You heard right. Play the Powerball now for your chance at an estimated 110 million rand jackpot, and you could become Mzansi's next big winner. Buy your tickets now in store or via nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or you can simply dial star 120 star 7529 hash for the USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older and play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So they just took the wind out of me because I wanted to have a conversation about salt. And then Professor Steve is actually busy with grant work right now, last-minute grant work, and so he asked to be excused. And we'll have this conversation about salt at a later date. For now, though, we're talking to one of his other colleagues, Dr. Louisa Olubayu, who's a researcher at the Sydney Brenner Institute of Molecular Bioscience. And the conversation is around understanding aging with HIV in sub-Saharan Africa in order to improve care. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Louisa?
Thank you. And how about you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. All right, let's get some context around the work that you've undertaken as it speaks to HIV and AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So basically for many years we've had HIV research policies being in Africa, but focusing mainly on these younger populations. And because of the success of the antiretroviral therapy, we have people who are aging and they're living longer. So the people who were infected with HIV at 20 years and 30 years are now in their 50s, 60s. So we are seeing a rapidly aging HIV population from back then to now. But there's been very little data on just how HIV affects people who are older or rather aging population, especially in the sub-Saharan region. So hence why we wanted to look at HIV amongst these adults, 40 and above, and compare between South Africa and the Kenyan population.
So you've looked at the effects of this from a South African and Kenyan population, and what were some of the findings, perhaps from your work and observation?
So thanks for that question. So what we find is that nearly 1 in 5 people in this age group are actually living with HIV. And one other thing that we find is that they have these complex factors that affect this specific population that have to be targeted by these programs at the end of the day. So we find that women are disproportionately affected. In addition to just being of a woman, we have factors such as education coming in as a risk factor, so that people who are less educated have a higher risk of HIV infection. And we also see another factor popping up, such as just having lived in the rural population compared to the urban population is a risk factor. So rural populations were coming up. So we had an advantage of comparing between sites in South Africa, which were both rural and urban, and the urban sites in Kenya, in Nairobi.
So the research also suggests that there needs to be more data done in order to better understand observations in both sub-Saharan Africa, where there are health disparities, especially amongst, especially when it comes to rather the prevalence of multiple morbidities.
So absolutely. So you hit the nail right on the head. So there's paucity on data because we've always focused on people who are younger and less focused, like if you're looking at population data sets, they focus mostly on the adolescents and 15 to 49 years old who are probably very sexual. So now we have very less data, but for people over 50 years. However, if we are to focus on how is the infection rate in this population, because they're also living longer. So we make assumptions that the sexual activity is not as high as in the 15 to 49. However, we don't know what risks that they are being exposed to in this case. So that's why we had this study. And as much as we're talking about this population, we have also stigma coming up in this population. As they age, we get these non-communicable diseases popping up. We have blood pressure, diabetes, obesity as well popping up in this population. So what we want to do, or what we are recommending, is have this integrated kind of approach and being incorporated into the HIV care program, not just focus on HIV, but bring in how about the non-communicable diseases being managed in these already existing platforms for HIV care.
Yeah. Dr. Louisa, you know what I want to try and do? I just want to try and switch the line to a WhatsApp line. We're just going to take a quick short pause as we try and do that, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation with Dr. Louisa. It's 10 to 3 o'clock, so in the final stretch of the show this afternoon, catching up with Dr. Louisa Olibayu, who's doing some incredible work there with her teams. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
First Take SA, 5 to 6 a.m.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says business cannot dictate terms to the government or the ANC as tensions rise with its GNU partner, the Democratic Alliance, over the national budget. Mr. Monahed, now as the president of the Black Business Council, how do you interpret this statement?
Part of the problem that we need then to confront as a country is that you cannot then be held at ransom by a particular party. There are no risks in an event where they exit the government of national unity because there is a trade war We have the time to be fighting over our petty issues whereas Rome is burning.
Elvis Preslin on SAFM.
The Morning Brief with Tulasizwe Simelane.
When they took over this country from the National Party, unemployment was sitting at 15%. Imagine if there were no economic sanctions. Unemployment would be around 6%.
But there was unemployment measured within which segment of the population, Mandla? Because remember, it was segmented and fragmented, and there were portions of the population that were deliberately left out of the economy. Deliberately.
Tulasizwe, you must stop being the spokesperson of this tag, ANC tag.
I could never be.
Unemployment now.
I could never be.
Unemployment.
Mandla, I'm engaging you. I could never be the spokesperson of these people.
You don't engage these ANC tags. You don't engage them.
Mandla.
Yes.
Unless you want to speak and then I don't engage you, none of us benefits when that happens.
This is Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to The Full Circle.
As we continue our conversation with Dr. Louisa Olibayu, hopefully, Dr. Louisa, we've got you back on the line.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's talk as well about, in your sort of brief here, you write that the available data suggests that aging people with HIV infection in sub-Saharan Africa face unique challenges with cumulative vulnerabilities for women. Talk to us about that, and also how does it sort of intersect, for instance, with those with lower levels of education, those living in rural areas?
So, like you mentioned, yes, there are different challenges that these people living with HIV are exposed to or are faced with. So just being a woman, you have that as a challenge. So women are disproportionately being affected by HIV because of our biological makeup and other factors. So we see other factors such as a lower level of education, because you have to be able to understand all these programs to be able to, take care of yourself. So a level of education was popping up as one of the risk factors. And those participants who are living in the rural areas were also popping up as a risk factor. My assumption, or our assumption from this analysis, was that the access to healthcare facility, the stigma between the rural population and the urban population is also slightly different. And to add on to that, widows are also specifically at risk because of the challenges in our communities, especially in terms of the level, the social economical statuses of these widows as well.
You also alluded to the fact that perhaps what the preventative measures need to look into is an integrated approach. Let's unpack that a little bit.
So if we're talking about these older populations and in terms of HIV policies and health planning, then our recommendation is to fund integrated care, because the older adults are living with HIV are also living with other communicable conditions. So the non-communicable conditions I'm talking about, we're looking at diabetes, we're looking at hypertension, we're looking at obesity as some other factors. So instead of individually having these diseases being targeted individually, they can be incorporated into the care program. We haven't even considered the mental health and brain health of these people living with HIV, and having been overlooked in the research space for HIV as well.
Well, some really important work coming through there from yourselves, Dr. Olibayu. We appreciate the time with you this afternoon. That was Dr. Louisa Olibayu, and we apologize for the lack of crispness from our connection. It does get tricky sometimes, as we connect with different guests from all over the world. Sometimes the lines aren't as crisp as we'd like them to be, but hopefully you got all the information that you required from this. I really wanted to talk just to end the show between you and I chatting about the salt situation. And I wanted the good doctor, the good professor to also give us some of the findings and the study and what this legislation is going to say. Because we have a lot of conversations around sugar, right? And the regulations around sugar and regulating the sugar industry, sugar labeling, on products that we buy in the stores and all the safeguards and things like that. And I was saying last week, we were talking with my producers that I bought some jelly and I bought some custard, and I won't name the brands, but it's all the brands that we grew up with. And I was like, man, it tasted different. Like there was less sugar. And I think they've secretly lessened the sugar, because everyone in the room concurred with me that it definitely tasted like there's less sugar in the custard and the jelly. So it's only time that we have a conversation around regulating salt as well, right? Because there is so much salt intake in some of the products that we eat. I bought this packet of chips, and I'm not going to name and shame them, but I bought this packet. If you've ever had a child or a toddler in your life, there's two types of chips that they eat. There's the yellow ones, the curly ones that, the ones that the kids just suck on until they disappear because they've got no teeth. And then there's the cousins to that one. They come in a blue and a yellow packet. It rhymes with a sling, the name of the chips. Those chips are so salty. I don't know how you could have your toddlers eat those. I bought them for nostalgia's sake the other day, and I couldn't finish the big packet because they were so salty. And I thought, wow, you find these chips at every party of a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. They are the chips that all parents buy, but they are so salty. So we need to have this conversation around salt. And once the professor and them are done with all of their funding submissions today, which took up their time, we'll definitely double back to this conversation. For now, though, let's go to WhatsApp, because you did send us WhatsApp around your salt love-hate intake.
Good afternoon, SAFM listeners. You're speaking to Nolo from Sprite. As you speak, as I'm listening to the radio, I'm eating, and as you talk about the salt, I'm craving salt. I'm one of those guys who does that before I can even taste my food, and it's a bad attitude. It really so disgusting. But we often do that, and it's unhealthy. To be honest, you must fix that. You must really fix that. Thank you. Bye.
Good afternoon, Bridget and the listeners. Regarding the use of salt, I had a friend, she's passed on now, who was in hospital in an Eastern Cape public hospital, and she started complaining about the amount of salt they put in the food in the hospital, and she wondered what it was doing to people with high blood pressure. I think we need not just look at manufacturers, but at our public facilities. Thank you. Claire from Near George.
Absolutely.
Good
Cleo.
afternoon, Bridget, and the listeners.
Absolutely.
Regarding,
we will definitely have that conversation around salt, because so we thought we'd just play some of your voice notes as we wrap it up, because you actually did want to engage around that salt and sugar. Very problematic. So we're going to give the professors just some time for them to finish off making those submissions, and then we'll schedule him for a later date to have that conversation around the proposed legislation and regulation of salt, whether salt in products. I can assume that it's probably salt in products and labeling for products around salt. Probably a mirrored conversation to the one that we often have around sugar in this country. So, yeah, we'll let you know when that conversation is rescheduled again, and then hopefully you and I can engage even more. But if you can, if you've got a toddler, stay away from those chips, the ones that rhyme with sling. You know what they are called. Stay away from them. They've got way too much salt. 3 o'clock on the dot. Time for the news.
Top stories, the SAWA GNU to reset after budget differences, and US ends life-saving food aid for millions. Good afternoon, I'm Kolofelo Defo. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the party has not taken a decision on the future participation of the DA in Government of National Unity. This after DA, which is the ANC's biggest GNU partner, did not vote to support the fiscal policy framework last week. Various ANC officials have since called for the DA to exit the GNU, stating that the party cannot play opposition and still want to remain in government. However, the DA has made it clear that